Hello everyone, this is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming, and I have decided after much deliberation to make some informative videos about Hunt Showdown. This is because I have found myself playing this game a lot, and as such it makes sense that I will share some of my knowledge. Now I haven't played a lot with the keyboard and mouse in the recent months, and us Australians don't have servers for this game yet. So to cut a long story short, I need to compensate for my weaker shooting skills by playing tactically, and using every other advantage to overcome and extract with the bounty. And in order to do this, I need to make constant use of Hunt's most useful tool, and most powerful weapon, and that is sound. It becomes immediately apparent when playing that sound is critical in this game, but it goes even further than that. Every single thing that happens has a distinct sound. From enemy types, to fire, to entering dark sight, to even aiming a weapon, there is always a sound. Identifying these noises can provide a wealth of information that will allow you to dominate both PvP and PvE elements of the game. So here we go, a complete breakdown of how to use sounds. Let's start off with what is by far the loudest sound in the game, and that is gunshots. Now, gunshots are the only sound that can be heard literally anywhere on the map. It doesn't even matter where you are. If you shoot a gun, except of course the silenced pistol, you will reveal your existence to all other players on the map. Each gun also has a unique sound, so you will be able to discern the difference between a Sparks LRR and a Winfield repeater if you have a keen ear. One of the biggest benefits to be gained from listening to gunshots is that it allows you to estimate where on the map the other players are. This can be done by judging the volume, direction, and degree to which the gunshot sounds are muffled. Players that wear headsets with surround audio will be able to tell the direction of a gunshot. This is super useful for all sounds in the game, and you will be at a significant disadvantage if not playing with a headset. In Hunt, sounds are also louder when you are facing the direction that they are coming from. This means that if you are hearing continuous gunshots, you can turn around until they are at their loudest, at which point you will have pinpointed the direction that they are coming from. Here is an example of how volume changes as I look towards and away from a generator. The problem that emerges here is that if the volume of the shot changes as you turn to face it, how can you reliably estimate distance? This is where the degree of muffling comes into effect. The more muffled a gunshot is, the more distant it is. If it is soft and muffled, the shot is likely coming from the very far side of the map. If it is crisp and loud, it is likely coming from a compound adjacent to you or even closer. You can also learn an awful lot by listening to the intensity and the frequency of gunshots. If you hear a lot of shots popping off, it means one of four things. Number 1, either an enemy team is really stupid and shooting zombies with no regard for stealth, but this is pretty unlikely. Number 2, if there are lots of overlapping shots, this indicates that a gunfight is taking place with multiple participants or teams. It tells you where a number of groups are and indicates that it is likely that at least one team or player has been eliminated from the match. Number 3 is if you hear consistent, slower shots over a long period of time, then it is likely that a team is trying to kill the boss monster. The final possibility is that there are enemy players trying to bait out an engagement or attract hunters to their area in order to ambush them. You need to be wary of this, however hunters attempting to bait you with their gunshots won't want to use too much of their ammo, so the amount of time they shoot for will be limited. By listening to gunshots, you can get a sense of how the overall match is progressing. You can make estimates about where the boss might be before you find all of the necessary clues, and you can also estimate how many groups are left on the map and in what compounds they might be nearby. And then of course your other option is to simply follow down the gunshots and hunt other players before going to the boss. And you will also have some idea of the guns they are using as well, due to the noises that they make when firing. So let's move on to the next category of sounds, and that is explosions. Now these come from one of two things: explosive consumables such as dynamite and frag bombs, or hitting explosive red barrels. Yes, they are a thing in this game. The barrels that explode are indeed red. Explosions don't travel as far as bullets when it comes to actually making the noise, but they can still be heard from a long way away. If you hear an explosion, you can surmise that there is a player in your half of the map and get a general idea of their direction. However, you can't find out a whole lot more than this.
Do you need help?
I shot him.
Also scattered around the map are environmental factors that can create noise. Two of these create very loud noises that, although they cannot be heard right across the map, they can be heard well into adjacent compounds. If you hear either of these, you know that an enemy is nearby, and you should have a good idea of their direction. These are dying horses and flocks of crows. While on the ground, both of these make soft noises, so you will know when you are near one. If you get too close to a horse, it will neigh loudly and rear up, and continue to neigh until you either leave the area or kill it. You can sneak up and kill the horse before it makes noise, but you must do so very quickly, as it reacts very fast to your presence. The other trigger are flocks of crows sitting on the ground. When you get too close, they will caw loudly and take flight. This produces not only a loud sound cue, but also a visual marker as they fly upwards. There is also no way to avoid the birds other than just crouch past them, and make sure you are a decent distance away before standing up. You should always try to avoid birds and horses, as they will convey your position almost immediately to any enemies around the compound, or even neighbouring compounds. That being said, both of these give away a lot less information than a gunshot, so it is always better to run through some crows and mantle a fence to escape an armoured zombie than to whip out that shotgun and put him down on his ass. Another tip is that if you really don't want to go around a horse or risk sneaking up on it, that silenced pistol can take them out pretty quietly. If you happen to find yourself loaded into a game with a teammate that is continually setting off crows and horses, you can use them as bait, stay away from them, and then kill the hunters that inevitably come after your inept partner. So they are all the sounds that can give you clues on a macro scale, and help you make tactical decisions about where to go on the map. However, there are many other noises that provide information on a smaller scale, in this case within a single compound or the immediate area. One of the more localized noise sources are generators. In nighttime matches, they can also change the lighting situation, however in the day, once turned on, they will stay on and produce an ambient noise. If you hear an active generator, you know for a fact that a player has been there and turned it on inside that compound. If you hear a generator start or stop, then you know that there is a player standing next to the generator itself at that moment. The continuous noise produced by generators can also mask more subtle sounds made by zombies or players, such as footsteps and doors opening. This can be to your advantage or disadvantage, depending on whether you're moving around or not. Remember that noises are louder if you're facing the source, so if you turn away from the direction of a noisy generator, you will be able to hear other noises with much greater clarity. You may also find these record players scattered around the map. They will also make continuous noise much like generators once activated, but these can only be stopped by dealing damage to them and destroying them. Both generators and record players will attract nearby zombies while activated, so you can potentially use them to draw zombies away from a clue and sneak in to pick it up. The other source of sound within compounds are coops of chickens or kennels of dogs that will start to make lots of noise if you move nearby. You can avoid triggering them by crouch walking, and they will quiet down after you move away. If you hear the chickens or dogs going ballistic, you will know that a player is nearby and have a general idea of their position, and this can give you a huge advantage. There are ways to prevent these caged animals from making noise, including shooting them with a silenced pistol or setting them on fire with a lantern or firebomb. When you get close to zombies, they too will make noises. They all make ambient noises, and these are distinct to each type of enemy. This means you can easily avoid them even if you can't necessarily see them through the bushes. However, when these enemies detect you, the noise that they make will change, letting you know when you have to run or fight. Although the sounds made when fighting zombies may seem very loud when you are doing the fighting, remember that the noise from these fights don't travel very far at all as long as you don't shoot any guns, so it is very unlikely that other players will hear you killing zombies in melee combat, even if they're in the same compound. The exception here is that meathead leech zombie, who is also very, very loud, and other players may hear him if you start to take the aggro. In addition to standard mobs, the bosses will also make noise. They are often pretty quiet, but when a player is nearby, they can go ballistic, making lots of noise inside their hideout. If you approach a compound and hear the butcher or the spider running or stomping around and roaring or hissing, then you can almost confirm that a player or two is hiding very close by. In much the same way, the horses at the extraction points will whinny if there are players nearby, which can let you know if you are walking into an ambush while trying to escape, and the boat extraction points will also have engine noises if players are nearby. The final type of noises that I'll talk about today before my voice runs out are those made by hunters when doing some various actions such as walking, running, opening a door, stepping on broken glass, taking damage, reloading, using a medpack, walking through chains, or any other miscellaneous action. These can only be heard when you are very, very close to the source of the sound, and listening to these audio cues can tell you when to pop out of hiding and attack another player, or when they are walking past to a specific point such as over broken glass. When you are close, you will also be able to hear the grunting cry let out by dying hunters to confirm that you have downed them in combat. Sound is constantly helping you in this game, and you need to be always listening in order to survive. To finish off, I'm just going to run over some of the ways that I like to use sound to get the upper hand. Using noise to bait enemies is a powerful tool, especially when at the boss and you are worried other hunters might be coming to cherry pick you while you're busy. Shoot the boss for a little bit, but allow your primary focus to be on watching for approaching players. Maybe your teammate is hiding in some bushes, waiting for you to draw out any would-be ambushes so that they can ambush them in return. Using noise to navigate is also very useful. You can do this on a macro scale to head to compounds where you hear gunfire, or follow gunfire to the boss. You can employ your hearing on a micro scale to avoid zombies you can't see while walking through long grass, or steer away from softly cawing crows in the fields. Also, aside from the game telling you that the banishing has begun, listening to sounds is actually the best way to estimate the state of the game, how many teams may be left, and to guess if players have started to kill the boss, simply by listening to the nature of gunshots and firefights. So hopefully with your ears peeled, you can go out into the swamp and bring back some sweet, sweet bounty. Remember that the team here from 4FS Gaming streams regularly over on our Twitch channel, and I'll put the link down in the description, so please go and check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you're all having a great week.